Hello, and welcome to Week 3 of the Symphonic Winds Listening Project, a parade of American classics. This week, we're going to look at Country Band March by Charles Ives, arranged by James Sinclair. Charles Ives was the son of a Civil War bandmaster and is regarded by many music historians as the first truly American composer of the 20th century. Up until that time, most American composers were highly influenced by European musical traditions. Not so with Ives. His music was a unique blend of colloquial small-town music and grand, sometimes unattainable vision. He was born in Danbury, Connecticut in 1874. The influence of the town band is evident in much of his music, including the piece you'll listen to today. In fact, Ives played cornet in his father's band before taking up the organ at the age of 14. Ives became an accomplished church organist during his teen years, yielding one of his most popular compositions, Variations on America. The piece was later transcribed for orchestra by William Schumann, which was then transcribed for band by William Rhodes. Here's the opening of the piece for organ and then for band. Ives studied music at Yale University. However, he did not pursue a career in music, instead going into the insurance field with great success. He accounted for $48 million in new business for the company he helped found, the Myrick and Ives Insurance Company. He still found time to write music, composing 4 symphonies and 2 large-scale works for orchestra. These include 3 Places in New England and the Holidays Symphony. Not constricted by the need to sell his music, Ives was able to compose what he wished when he wished, and his music is a unique reflection of the man and a glimpse into American society in the early 20th century. Stress from everyday life led him to curtail his composing activity in 1918. Then, one day in 1927, he told his wife he could compose no more, because, sadly, nothing sounds right. His musical vision had surpassed his ability to express it. He dedicated himself to revising his existing works for the last 30 years of his life. His music was not widely performed during his lifetime, but he found advocates in some of the best performers of his day, including a young Leonard Bernstein. Performances became more numerous later in his life and after his death, and Ives is now one of the most renowned and performed American composers. Ives was a prolific composer for voice. He wrote more than 100 songs for voice and piano, some of which have been transcribed for band. One such song is The Circus Band, a sort of companion piece to Country Band March. The Circus Band was composed while Ives was a student at Yale in 1894, and is clearly inspired by the band music he enjoyed growing up in Connecticut. Here's an excerpt of the original song.
All summer long, we boys dreamed about big circus joys. Down Main Street comes the band, awaited grand and a glorious noise. All
His most iconic work is probably The Unanswered Question. Ives composed the work in 1908, and it offers an existential crisis that is both clear and abstract. There are three separate elements: the string orchestra, which creates an ethereal mood through the use of chord progressions; the solo trumpet, the heavenly voice that asks the question; and the woodwind ensemble, which attempts to answer the question with increasing difficulty. It was far ahead of its time, and is a classic of modern American music. Here's the opening to The Unanswered Question. Ives did not actually compose Country Band March. James Sinclair of Yale University discovered Ives's sketches for a brief march for theater orchestra, a small group of 20 to 30 players. He completed the sketches by using material Ives had used in other pieces. Sinclair scored the march in two separate versions, one for theater orchestra and one for wind band. The wind band version has become a standard in the repertoire. Ives attempted to capture the spirit of the early American town bands, embracing the inaccuracies and rhythmic problems one might hear when listening to amateur musicians. The result is raucous, humorous, and nostalgic all at once. Ives chose not to write a standard march, but instead wrote about bands playing marches. He subverts audience and players' expectations with unexpected time signatures and rhythmic anomalies. After a wild introduction, Ives introduces the theme of the work in full band. The theme is very circus-like. It's here that you first hear the rhythmic shifting. The theme is heard clearly throughout the opening section, while several other themes, including American folk songs such as Arkansas Traveler, London Bridge is Falling Down, the Battle Cry of Freedom, and marches such as Semper Fidelis and the British Grenadiers are heard. After some development, and again using several themes which Ives knew from childhood, the opening is repeated, leading to a coda in which all the various elements collide, imitating two marching bands converging at the same time in the same place, playing two different marches in two different time signatures. The themes come crashing down, ending with a triumphant band chord. Here is the introduction and part of the first strain. And here is the finale, when the two bands collide. Please pardon the poor quality of the score. And that's Country Band March by Charles Ives. The music world is fortunate to have a composer like Charles Ives, and the band world is equally lucky that we have works by this iconic American composer. I hope you enjoy.